How does one code while avoiding the syntax error of despair? The syntax error of despair is a term used to describe the frustration and confusion that can occur when trying to troubleshoot code that contains syntax errors. Syntax errors occur when the code does not conform to the rules of the programming language being used, and can be caused by a variety of factors, such as typos, missing punctuation, or incorrect usage of keywords. One of the best ways to avoid the syntax error of despair is to be familiar with the syntax of the programming language you are using. This means reading through documentation, tutorials, and other resources to understand the proper way to write code in that language. It's also important to be familiar with the common error messages that can occur and what they mean, so that you can quickly identify and fix any issues that arise. Another important strategy for avoiding syntax errors is to use a code editor or integrated development environment (IDE) that can help you identify and fix errors in your code. Many code editors and IDEs include features such as syntax highlighting, code completion, and error checking, which can make it much easier to spot and fix syntax errors. It's also a good practice to write code incrementally, testing it after each small change, rather than writing large chunks of code and then trying to run it all at once. This will help you to identify and fix errors more quickly, rather than having to go through a large amount of code to find the source of the problem. Additionally, commenting your code can also be helpful to avoid the syntax error of despair. Comments are notes that you write in the code that explain what the code is doing. They're ignored by the computer but can be very helpful for you or other people who read your code to understand what you were trying to do. This can make it much easier to find and fix errors, as well as to understand how the code is supposed to work. Another important practice to avoid the syntax error of despair is to use version control software like Git. This allows you to save different versions of your code and easily switch between them if you encounter problems. You can also use Git to collaborate with other people on a project, which can be particularly useful if you're working on a large project with multiple contributors. Finally, it's important to remember to take breaks and stay patient when working on code. Troubleshooting and debugging can be a time-consuming and frustrating process, and it's easy to get caught up in the details and lose sight of the bigger picture. Taking a step back and coming back to the problem with fresh eyes can often help you to see things in a different light and find a solution more quickly. In conclusion, the syntax error of despair is a common problem that can occur when writing code, but there are many strategies you can use to avoid it. Being familiar with the syntax of the programming language you're using a code editor or IDE, writing code incrementally, commenting your code, using version control software, and taking breaks are all important practices to avoid the syntax error of despair.